Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Train Simulator Classic, aka Railworks. Today we're going to be looking at another product from VictoryWorks. This is the WD280 pack, the War Department 280s. As you will see, I am currently still in the editor for a pretty good reason. As is pretty typical with VictoryWorks, a lot of the stuff that is included with this pack has various settings, different things that you can toggle on, off, different things that you can change. So it's much easier for me to already be in the editor so that I can show what it is that I am talking about. And of course I have the manual pulled up, so we're going to go through the manual because it is pretty extensive. These are pro line locomotives, so you do definitely need to read the manual before trying to run them, or you will get frustrated. As well as read the manuals, just see what different settings and whatnot are. And also we're in the editor because, as you can see, there's a very long list of different locomotives. So we got the Dutch, the GWR, the LMR with normal or black frame. We got the LNER, the preserved BR, the Southern, the War Department's black, green, green armored, khaki, or khaki armored. And this is the armored locomotive. This is the locomotive we'll be using because I absolutely love this thing. I think this is stinking cool. But yeah, so as you can imagine, these are a wartime locomotive, so they're built for wartime use. Britain had a shortage of locomotives and needed some relatively quick, easy locomotives to be built in a fairly quick manner. I don't want to say necessarily expendable, but that is the idea. These locomotives kind of serve much the same purpose that the USATC S-160s did. They were meant more as a stopgap, like a we need a locomotive now kind of thing, where they weren't necessarily they weren't as purpose built as other locomotives were, I guess might be a way to put it. So but yeah, I gotta find my notes here to figure out how many were made, but they were introduced in 1943, and they were nicknamed Aussies by the railwaymen. A total of 935 were built. One single locomotive has been preserved. It is currently residing on the Cayley and Worth Valley Railway. And I assume is operational. It ran its first passenger runs in July of 2007. So, yeah. I believe a fairly large number of these ended up pretty much dispersed and then scrapped pretty soon after World War II. Looks like most were withdrawn from service by the mid-50s, so yeah, nothing too terribly wild, but yeah, a really neat locomotive, and of course a really neat pack. So in the pack you'll also get a freight wagon, boxcar, whatever you want to call it. Let's go up to here. So a 10-ton van. You'll get a railway gun in camo and plain green, and I love this thing. This thing is dummy cool. Just something that you don't expect to see every day in a in a pack for Train Simulator. This is something that you'll use all that often. Maybe not, but I think it's ridiculously cool. You'll also get a ammo van, ammo wagon, in the green or the camouflage. Personally, I love the camouflage. I think it's just ridiculously cool. And then you'll get a set of flats, so Warwell flat cars with various loads. So like a Cromwell, a Churchill, a Humber, and empty. Now the rolling stock looks pretty decent. The loads on the other side are it's very painfully obvious that these are kind of flat. Well, not flat, but they're definitely 2D. A lot of 2D textures. So that's kind of meh, but it's not the worst thing in the world. At least there's something different instead of the same loads that we always get. But the cars themselves look really, really good. We'll take a better look at everything whenever I get out of the scenario editor, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys the different settings and whatnot that we can change up, because obviously once I start the scenario you can't change any of this stuff up. So, but you'll get an empty, and you'll get a generic brake van. So nothing wild, nothing fancy, but really cool. So I am going to pull up my handy dandy manual. I have no idea why it says J21 manual, because it's definitely not a J21, but whatever. Such is life. So, oogity boogity boogity boo. As usual with our engines, they come in simple, basic, and advanced driving modes. We will be tinkering more with advanced mode than we will simple or basic, just because that's how I like to do it. So here is the list of stuff you're gonna get. Of course, the War Department khaki with optional armor, War Department green with optional armor, War Department black, post-war LNER, post-war GWR, post-war Southern, the LMR named locomotives, red or black flames, or frames, not flames, sorry. The British Railway livery for the 50 through 56 and 56 through 67 clean and dirty variants, the Dutch NS variant, and the preserved BR for this, the sole remainder. Of course, all the bells and whistles and really cool stuff that has been added, because Victory Works goes above and beyond, which is absolutely awesome. I love it. So, and then of course the rolling stock, which we've already gone over. So we'll keep on scrolling. This is the history on them. I lied. They remained in service until the end of steam in 1967, when they were all scrapped. So they did last a little bit. One has to wonder what happened to the locomotive that was sent here. There are some scenarios that are included for the Riviera line in the 50s, the Weardale and Teesdale, and the Woodhead, and Cayley Valley and Worth, the Cayley and Worth Valley Railway. And then of course, as with most Victory Works models, you get simple, standard, and advanced mode. Simple is the easy, using the F4 HUD all the way. Nothing you really to worry with. Standard mode is kind of that hybrid in between simple and advanced, and of course advanced mode is the hard way. You gotta pay attention to everything, because everything matters. A lot of fun if you can a lot of fun if you take the time figuring it out. So of course our controls, we got our regulator, reverser, cylinder cocks, firebox. While we're on cylinder cocks, these again, with a lot of Victory Works models, if you're running in advanced, you have to open these if the locomotive's been sitting for a minute, or you will blow the cylinders out. And that is modeled in this game. You won't have a violent explosion per se, but it will blow the cylinders out and give you an end of scenario warning. But of course, the firebox, they do have their firemen who will get tired if you leave him shoveling continuously, so keep that in mind in advanced mode. Of course, our coal levels, too low, 611 pounds. Average at 1120 and high at 1630 with white hot. So if you care to operate without any HUD whatsoever, F5, F4, there are visual clues as to what your levels are, and then the shovel is used to control the stoking amount. Of course, our blower and boiler pressure gauges, dampers are important. If I forget if it's this yeah, it's not this one. So this one should have it should just be open. There is no front or rear, just open. So, and of course our injectors, water taps, which in advanced mode, another thing, with you will have to kind of juggle the injectors and the water taps to get the right steam pressure to actually push water into the boiler. Otherwise, all you'll hear is a loud hissing noise and nothing will happen, or you'll hear the sound of water, like running water, and nothing will happen. So again, take the time to read the manual. It's not a bug, it is actually a feature. If you do not do your if you don't have your your injectors and water taps just right with each other, it will not put water in the boiler. Of course, the sight glasses, important. Brakes, pressure gauges, pretty typical items. Locomotive brakes, steam engine brakes. Again, take the time to read all this. You don't have to read it in my video. If you're going to go buy it, just sit down and spend a moment reading. But sanders. Sand is essential when pulling away on wet or icy conditions in advanced mode. So again, keep that in mind. You will spin the wheels if you don't. Whistles. So it's got a main and short whistles. These don't have the secondary whistle like a lot of other British locomotives do for Victory Works. These just have a main, and then the control press will play the little short tune. And then tab, to pass signals at danger, the tab and control tab will play a whistle code. Handbrake, windows, roof hatches, headlights and their codes. And of course, how to drive the locomotive in advanced mode. Again, highly recommend checking this out, because you will have a heck of a time trying to figure this thing out if you don't read this. And then of course the different things that you can tinker with. So like right now we are using one of the armored locomotives. So 1 to 5, 5-digit locomotive numbers. So we're going to hop over here and double click 1 through 5. Locomotive number 7389. 7389. Starts 70 or 7. I don't know why that is, but oh well. Company, Vulcan, or NBL. So we got N, which will be NBL. For giggles and squiggles, we will do V. We'll do the V for Vulcan, and then we'll set another locomotive, another one of these khaki locomotives over here, just for giggles and squiggles to show you the differences. Khaki. Boom. So, come back over here. I'm going to change this one to N. Do I think it makes a huge difference? No, but you know, sometimes it helps just to be able to see. So, lubricator boxes, straight or angled. This one is A for angled. So this one will be S for straight. Injector pipes, outside, inside. This one's inside. I'm going to be weird and do it outside. This is an armored locomotive, so ideally you would want all your vitals inside, but whatever. Army crest logo, plain or swords. So this one is going to be, what was that? S. So, S for swords, P for plain, and then preset armored fixtures, yes. Yes, and let's come over here, click no for giggles and squiggles. And then, letter of the code class, optional. So, that is for the armored locomotives. We'll hop over here and we'll do another set for unarmored locomotives because there are some differences, as you can see, some things that will change depending on the road. So like the GWR, the LNER, the GWR gets the toolbox clap covers, the LMR get the white walls. The British Railways gets probably the most wackiness you can tinker with. The Dutch, not a whole ton, but some stuff. And then they preserved British Railway. Remembrance plate, which is what we have right here. So as you can see, it says remembrance. That's the plate it's talking about. The preserved locomotive gets, you know, a couple interesting items, just kind of for giggles and squiggles, just to show them off real quick. But we're gonna get rid of it, and we're gonna set down a Dutch and then a couple of the British Rail locomotives, because the Dutch is a little bit of a wacky one, and then the British Rail have all the really cool bells and whistles to tinker with. So, British Rail. Where do we want to go? I don't believe it matters which year. So we'll go with the 1956 model, just for giggles and squiggles. We want 2 of them. Matter of fact, it's probably better I just move these all up here, because I still want to be able to show off the packed railway gun. I'll get the words out in a minute. Oh goodness, where was my mind? Tender. We need a BR tender. Preserved BR. So, what can we change? Locomotive digit, shed code, company, Vulcan or MBL. Of course, we have a long list here. So, I got A, and then N. So this one's an MBL. This one will be a Vulcan. And then next we got S. Lubricator boxes, straight or angled. Angled. Nope, we got straight. So we want angled. Show company plates, yes or no. Angled. Let's go with yes. Let's go with no. Ironic no, but clack valves, original GWR or cover. Shoot. We got original on this one. We got GWR on this one. GWR toolboxes, yay or nay. We want yay. Seems fitting since it is the GWR valves. And then of course we want no. And S. What's next? Washout plugs, original, raised, covers some, covers all. We'll do all. And we'll do raised. GYA. Right? Yeah. So it should be R for raised. Southern lamp brackets. I want no, since this is the GWR for giggles and squiggles. We want yes. Side deflectors. We want yes. So it would be a no. Power class display none, both ADEF are side stripe, yay or nay. Side stripe, no side stripe. That one's pretty quick and easy to show. AWS, I hate AWS, makes me angry. Snowplow, tender water treatment, overhead warning labels. Yes. And yes. TPRO for logo text. And yes. And no. There we go. It should show the differences there. And then the railway gun. The railway gun has some stuff that's different that you can change. So, the name of the railway gun, which will be right here on a plaque. So we got Peacemaker right here. And if we come on over to here, we got Scene Shifter. That'll be the first letter or number. You got the cover on the barrel, which is none, barrel, or full. Right now, this is both of these are showing a just the barrel cover, which you can see just covers the end of the barrel. Both of them have that. So on this one, I am going to actually change it to a full-length barrel cover. So we want N or we want F, and then we want it set for firing position, yes or no. Actually, let's bury this one under the full cover. So F, because this one's going to be under firing. N and firing position. And voila! The different classes for your headlight codes. So let's dive into our scenario. So it's nice, it's bright, it's daylight. So the armor presets. Isn't it painfully obvious now? You gotta see. Takes the armor off the locomotive. So that's the first thing that you'll notice between our two armored locomotives. Now it is kinda hard to compare these two, since not having the armor around the boiler does kind of reveal everything here, but North British Locomotive, versus the Vulcan Foundry. So it'll change the builder's plate right there on either side. And then of course on our railway gun here, we got our railway gun with the full length cover, which covers the entire thing, which is really nicely done. It is kind of entertaining that there's nothing holding these down whatsoever, but it is still cool that it is added there. Now I don't know why, but I showed you guys. I set it up for firing position. For some wacky reason, I have never been able to get these to actually show up as a firing position. It should point the barrel up like it's ready to shoot at something. For some reason, I've never been able to get it to work. I don't know why. The preset just doesn't seem to want to work, but that's what it looks like without the covers on it. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty freaking cool. Let's hop over here to our BR locomotives. Zoom. Kind of see some of the differences. So as you can see, some things will disappear if you're not looking at them just right. I don't know why that is. It seems to do so. That is a little bit wacky, but such is life. Really good looking locomotives. Really nicely modeled. I like the smoke exhaust. It looks really good. I don't like the steam exhaust here though. It looks like a bunch of little cotton balls. It doesn't look the best. Not too bad from like a distance or something, but whenever you get close, it's kind of painfully obvious. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but otherwise, it really looks really good. And the coal load actually looks pretty neat. It's an actual different coal load than the standard DTG coal. So that's pretty cool. The Dutch model, that kind of green, it's got a raised smokestack, ladders on either side of the boiler, or has that option on either side of the boiler, but just some of the odd things that you can change on the NS Dutch model. So really neat. Overall really neat. I love them. So of course, let's take it down the tracks. So that's what we're all waiting on. Everybody wants to hear it. Everybody wants to see what they sound like. So first off, we're sitting at a red light. So there is the request to pass the red light, the red signal. That's what that sounds like, holding the tab button. But we are going to be sure our track is set so that we can actually pull out. We got a pretty heavy load, so it should take us a little bit to get rolling. That way it doesn't seem too easy. Inside the cab, most things look really good. The texturing on the armor plating looks a little bit blurry. It looks kind of low res. It's not horrible, but it is definitely noticeable between the two. Of course, our dampers. We'll pull this up. People can see. So down, it's fully open. There's our firebox. We've got a pretty healthy fire already going, but let's build it up just a little bit more. Your fire will build up by the shovelful, which is really neat. Since these are armor plated, our windows don't open, but the windows will open on the non-plated. Our front windows will open though. And then of course our roof hatch is non-existent because again, we have armor plating. Of course our reverse gear. So as you can see, just trying to turn it won't work. You will have to push the E key to unlock the reverse gear. And then you can roll it forward. And I do believe that it is modeled. Which side are we driving on? We're driving on this side. I have to remember we're British right now. So it is modeled. It's not the smoothest thing in the world, as you can see. It kind of moves down in increments, but it does still move, so that's nice. And I don't know if it'll work with the F4 since we're operating in advanced mode, but let's see. I think the brakes function. Perhaps I lied. Yeah, perhaps I lied. Brakes don't function. Sad days. But overall, they look really, really good. The drive rods kind of look a little low res compared to the rest of the locomotive, but everything else looks really, really good in my opinion. It's nice to see some rivets. Rivet detail. Gotta be that rivet counter. Our safeties are loud as can be. Control, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. That's going to control your headlights. Whoops. I didn't mean to touch that button. Let's get rid of that F4 HUD for now, because we do not need it. So, yeah, let's take it down the line. So that is the full spacebar whistle pull for the long pull. Go ahead and kill our brakes. Should be our engine brake right here. And of course, we want our cylinder cocks open. Start cracking the throttle. As you can see, as you can hear, it is very, very loud. But everything is modeled very nicely. Everything looks really nice, including our oilers. And it sounds really good. And everything looks like it rolls really smoothly. Overall, it's a really smooth looking locomotive. Nothing looks too out of whack or anything, or noticeable. The freight cars have some really nice ambient. Man, that ammo car just looks really good. The freight cars have some really nice sounds to them overall. Overall, they look pretty good. To be perfectly honest, they look pretty good. Up close, they're a little low res. They don't look that bad. So let's go back to our side of the cab. Start grabbing some brakes, because I do believe the speed limit is 20 miles an hour, not 35, but Again, a really, really good sounding locomotive overall. I really like it. The whistle is a little bit quiet compared to the locomotive. Compared to all the other sounds, it is a little quiet, but that distance sound is awesome. See, how far away can we hear this thing? Go ahead and open our throttle completely. That just sounds awesome. You can just barely hear the whistle, but the chuff sounds are laughably louder. So that distance sounds is pretty nice. So we are rolling downhill, so we want to maintain a little bit of brake pressure. And of course, we want to pay attention to our water glasses. Injector. So you have 3 valves for your injectors. You have the one on your tender, which I don't believe is functional. The handbrake. Yeah, I guess the one on the tender isn't functional. But of course you got your one down here. If you hear that hissing noise, that means you're not putting any water in the boiler. So you kind of got to sit and play with it. If you see water like that, that means, again, you're not putting any in. So it does take some tinker. Right about there, that's what you're looking for. And you can overfill the boiler on these. Keep that in mind. It shouldn't be such an issue if you're running from the cab in advanced mode like I am right now. But if you're running with the HUD or something, it might throw you off a little bit. Pretty good spot to start slowing down so we can take a look at the rolling stock. You can spin the wheels. You can spin out if it's too heavy or it's wet, you're not using any sand or whatnot. So now that we're stopped, we'll take a look at our at the rolling stock. Now we've gone over most of the sounds, bells, whistles, how to run the darn thing. Rolling stock looks pretty good. Lettering is kind of crispy. I don't know what's going on right here, but otherwise lettering looks really nice and crispy. Overall the detail is really nice on them. I believe the boards are just 2D textures over a flat child object. So the railway gun is easily the most impressive part of this pack, without a doubt. It is stinking cool and pretty well modeled overall. I like it. I think it looks good. I think it looks really cool. Of course, our ammo wagon. Now, it is kind of entertaining. I imagine these safety chains would probably be latched on. I imagine these chains should be latched, but they're not. So that's kind of wacky. But these are. Coupler chains, call them what you will. Your coupler links, that's the word we're looking for. Your coupler links. I feel like these should be attached. Clearly they're not. Whatever. This car just looks awesome. Now up close, the camouflage is a little bit low texture. It is kind of obvious. You can see the kind of squares, but whatever. Again, not linked. Wacky. And of course our flat cars. Our flat cars look really nice. They have nice rivet detailing and whatnot. The loads are definitely 2D textured. Very low res. Meh. They're not the worst thing in the world, but they're not the best. The chains look alright. Again, they're not the worst. They're not the best. They don't look terrible. But everything else looks really nice. Nice crispy lettering. Again, not linked. Wow. Impressive. This train holding together somehow, some way. And of course our little brake van. No interior or anything. So the brake van's nothing, oh my goodness, wild. It's just kind of there. It doesn't look horrible, but that light is very wacky at weird angles. Overall, it looks nice. It's just kind of low res 2D texture a lot. But it looks pretty good. So yeah. There it is, guys. The Victory Works WD280 pack. You can pick this up from Steam Sound Supreme. That is where I picked it up. Overall, it is an excellent model. 100% worth checking out. I like it. I get a lot of use out of it. I especially love the whole World War theme. Goes along really nicely. It's really cool. But it's just a fun locomotive overall to operate, so. Anywho's, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, I put the link in the description, and I will see you guys next time.